Once upon a time, there were four identical brothers with four very different T-shirts. The T-shirts were all nice, only one of them was saying a lot more than the others.
Who do you think would be the best at sport? Whose team would you want to be on? Who do you think is the coolest? Who would you most want to be friends with?
How can that little swooshy thing mean so much? That's how powerful a fashion super brand is. I'm not talking about any old brand here. These are the huge global organisations with turnover in billions.
Adidas.
Nike.
Obviously.
These brands are in our heads in a way the others can only dream of.
Jackets, trousers, tracksuits.
So what's their secret? Apparently, Adidas sales are about double what Levi's sales are, for example, and Nike sales are about 3 times as much. Part of it has got to be the amount of money that they spend on marketing.
I've seen how important advertising is to fashion brands, but these brands take it to a whole new level.
Because Adidas spend £900 million a year, and Nike £1.6 billion.
For City fans saw Tevez wearing Nike boots, they'd beg their mums for Nike boots and things, and then they'd go to school and go, I'm wearing the same boots as Tevez.
Right, I see.
So getting your boots on the feet of the right people is especially important for this age group.
What sort of person you think would wear Adidas?
Lionel Messi. Because he wears Adidas, the Adi Zero boot.
I think it's time to go play with the big boys.
From fashion forward, all the way through the demographic, I would say.
Okay, all right. Now, when it comes to mobile phones...
I've got a mobile phone.
I have 2.
Samsung touchscreen, but it's like an LG because it's touch and you can...
Everyone seems to know so much about technology these days.
BlackBerry is good.
iPhone-
And so's Apple. Why are they called fruit? Apple.
iPhone
BlackBerry
3G.
and Apple.
What's a bad phone to get?
Old Nokia. They're bad.
Sometimes too much.
Look, this is a Nokia. What's wrong with that?
That is bad. That is bad.
These are cool. These are cool.
My grandma has one of those.
I got it.
She's getting a new phone, and it's an iPhone. So
She's get-
beat that as my grandma.
Yeah, I think that is totally rubbish. Look,
You need to get a new
you
phone.
need a really
Get
good
a new
camera.
phone.
I'm excited to be looking into mobile phones. I think it's the most important piece of technology for virtually all of us. The numbers of mobile phones sold are staggering. Nokia is the biggest. They sell well over 1 million phones a day. So imagine my surprise when I read this in the newspaper.
Nokia boss warns staff they're standing on burning platform.
I've just found out that Nokia, the #1 phone brand in the world, are in serious difficulties. And so I feel that as a user of the very good 6330 Classic, I owe it to my phone and to myself and to other people like me to get to the bottom of the problems.
So why is Nokia the one in such trouble? I remembered what a 10-year-old girl had once told me.
My grandma has
You
one
can't,
of those.
please.
She's getting a new phone, and it's an iPhone. And it's an iPhone. Beat that as my grandma. It's an iPhone.
The cause of Nokia's problems is right under my nose.
And ever since the iPhone came out in 2007, that really revolutionized kind of the way we look at phones.
The iPhone isn't necessarily the best phone ever, but what it is a computer in your pocket. Now you're not just connected to people, you're connected to everything, including loads of apps.
Do you want to check snow conditions on the mountain?
In fact, the iPhone app didn't even mention making phone calls. It went big on telling us all about the apps.
There's an app for that.
What really made the iPhone a big success wasn't just that the hardware was very elegant and easy to use. It was this app store which had come along and revolutionized the way you looked at a cell phone. Because now you had this ability for $1, $2, $3 or free to run games, any number of things.
All these apps are brilliant fun for the user and an absolute cash cow for Apple. Because every time you buy an app, Apple takes 30%. Plus they get money from any advertising on the apps. The iPhone, it's the gift that keeps giving. To Apple, that is. So how much profit are they making? The PlayStation 3 is the most expensive console. It's at least £240. How much is Sony getting?
If Sony are a person, I think it'd be kind of middle class.
They're the same as 100 other anonymous bank workers.
They'd have a BMW.
A reliable elder statesman.
When Sony started life just after the Second World War in Tokyo, their first product was an electric rice cooker. But they made their name with tape recorders and transistor radios. By the beginning of the 21st century, they were making all kinds of consumer and professional electronics, as well as owning Columbia Studios and Sony Records. PlayStation was first introduced in 1994. Not surprisingly, I can't get them to tell me how much it cost to make, but I found someone who will.
I'm really sorry about this, but you're going to die.
So, with a plan in my head and a kamikaze PS3 in my hand, I'm clocking up the air miles again.
I'm in Los Angeles, California, and I'm just about to go and meet a chap who, for a living, takes apart pieces of technology to their components and works out how much they cost to make.
Let's have a look at the PlayStation.
It was hard to see her lying there on the operating table, but it would be a worthy end.
Okay, start.
My PlayStation has been completely stripped to its fundamentals, so that every chip, plate, diode, fan or screw can be added up and complete manufacturing costs calculated.
Well, that's ruined. I mean, look at the state of it.
This is ruined.
So what did you find out about it?
Well, what we found out about the PlayStation 3 was, in fact, that it cost more to build than they were selling it for.
That wasn't what I was expecting to hear.
One would expect that if you're building something, you're going to sell it for more than you built.
A profit, in effect.
Exactly. And by the way, we looked at it several times because we were in disbelief. We thought, this surely is not possible. Let's go back, let's sharpen our pencils, let's make sure we've done our research correctly, our calculations correctly. And sure enough, you know, here was one where there was a significant number of dollars that they were basically wrapping around each PlayStation and shipping it out the door with it.
Woohoo! There's over 4,000 individual bits, and iSupply have worked out the cost of every single piece. They estimate that the cost of all these pieces put together is $805. Now, when this was sold in the shops when it first came out in 2006, the price was $499. Now, since it was launched, they've been trying to make it cheaper to make, but they're still losing $37 on each machine. Now, they've sold 41 million PlayStation 3s, and if you work out all the losses they've made, it comes up at $3 billion losses on 41 million consoles. How on earth can they make that pay? This Blu-ray drive alone accounted for $107 of cost. And actually, you don't need a Blu-ray player to play games.
Blu-ray is just the high-definition version of DVD. It shouldn't make much difference to gaming, except add a chunk of change to the price. So what's it doing in a PS3? More research connected the PS3 to an old story about Sony, a bloody battle which left them bruised and humiliated.
The real video war isn't fought against invaders from outer space. It's battled out on the high streets of Britain. At stake, a multi-million-pound industry. The weapons? Well, it's all a matter of format.
Once upon a time, when home video was new, there were two totally incompatible formats. Betamax from Sony and VHS from JVC. Video rental shops were a nightmare. One side of the shop for each rival format. 2 copies of each movie. During the 1980s, the format war raged, but 2 things happened. JVC let other people make VHS machines, making it cheaper, and they found a very lucrative market which Sony wouldn't allow onto Betamax. Porn. Home video had created an explosion in the pants of the adult video market. Suddenly, you could watch filth in the privacy of your own home. By the 90s, it was all over for Sony's Betamax. Flash forward 16 years, and we've all got to get new high-def DVD players. Whoopee! But hang on, it's happened again. There's 2 totally incompatible formats. Blu-ray from Sony and HD DVD from Toshiba. This time, Sony aren't taking any chances, so they smuggle a Blu-ray player into our living rooms, at great expense to themselves, inside every PlayStation 3. That's a start, but just how many compromises are Sony willing to make?
This is Los Angeles, California. Should be beautiful hot sunshine. We should all be in bikinis and trunks. And look at it. But luckily we're filming the next bit indoors.
I'm going to ask the real experts.
At a porn shoot.
Digital Playground have been spearheading technology in smut since 1993. Their biggest indecent offering had a budget of £7 million.
Faithful crew of the Sea Stallion, I'm about to lead you on a perilous journey. We're gonna hunt down and kill the most notorious and dangerous of all pirates.
They should be able to tell me if Sony have stuck to their principles or if they've finally cuddled up to the porn industry.
Lick it.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Oh, you must be Samantha.
I am. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Pleasure
Nice
to meet you.
What are we shooting today, then?
We're shooting our first really girl line that we're just starting with a new director. So
Okay.
we're very, very excited about it.
I've just found out that I've got something important in common with the star of tonight's action.
The infamous
Hello.
superstar. This is
Hi.
Riley Steele.
Hello, Riley. My second name's Riley.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But I'm not here to make small talk. I'm a professional. There are questions to be asked.
Just how important do you think the adult industry latching onto something? Sorry,
It's okay.
So how important to the sex? You see, I'm sort
Did
of.
you get sex off the brain?
Oh,
Stop it. Where do you think you're
that's
at?
that's why I can't concentrate, because I know what's going on behind me and I can't even.
You're losing focus. This
I
is
am,
making you
I am.
nervous. Let me see your
Okay.
palms. Are you sweating? Oh, geez.
Oh, what the hell? I'll just let her talk.
Right.
Because Sony would not allow adult content to be put on Blu-ray. So we were forced to go to HD for a very short period. I think just a few
so
months.
originally, you were on HD DVD.
Absolutely.
In this battle between Blu-ray and HD
Huge
DVD.
battle.
First of all, your company went onto HD DVD because Sony wouldn't let porn
wouldn't-
go on to
Exactly. We couldn't get a
Blu-ray.
license. We had to get permission from Sony, and they denied us. And then as all the other adult studios started following suit, doing HD, Sony came around just a few months later and said, you have our blessing. And we
Really?
jumped on it.
It's all about content. Whether it's porn content, whether it's content from, let's say, Universal Studios. If you don't have them on board, it doesn't matter what your format is. It doesn't matter if it's technically superior. If there's no content, there's nothing to watch on it because you don't have an agreement with the studios. Then, you're not going to win that war.
They realize the mass markets that they're going to miss out in, and how much money that could be made by giving us the license and being paid. Because Adult DVD is huge. Over $11 billion industry.
If you're so pivotal to the success, do the manufacturers court you? Do they come and speak to you and ask you to adopt their format?
Absolutely. I can't, we've worked, kind of undercover with some computer companies that I really cannot state their names, but they'll do a lot of beta testing with our products.
But without being public about
Without
it,
public
totally
knowledge.
under the radar.
Yes, absolutely.
So Sony, determined not to lose another format war, have dropped their principles on the one hand to embrace pornography, and on the other, they've used the PlayStation like a Trojan horse to get a Blu-ray player into 41 million houses. It might have cost them $3 billion to do, about £2 billion, but that's the kind of money you have to be prepared to gamble in the technology game, and it really is a gamble. Now they've won this war, lots of other people are making Blu-ray hardware, but they still have to pay Sony. 1 cent on every blank disc sold, $9 for each Blu-ray player sold, $12 for each recorder, plus a cut of all games and movies sold. But as we start downloading stuff like movies more and more and using DVDs less, no one knows if they'll get their money back before Blu-ray's obsolete.